And I'm starting in the middle, I guess, as I usually do. And this is when I was 16. I had already joined Habonim, the Zionist group that, but that will be another story, how I got there. We'll worry about that in the future. But I was a member, and I'd already been to a summer camp, and this was the second year that this camp was running. It's called Camp Galil. It's in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And at the time, it used to be an old farm, and but they turned it into a summer camp, and we were using it. We got there 2 weeks before the camp season began, because I was a teenager already, and I was able to work, so we had to do some cleaning up and preparation of tents and places to live in.
What year was this, Tzvi?
This is 1946. It was the summer of 1946. And really at that time, Israel was not Israel. There was a mandate, but the Jewish agency had a shadow government. And the shadow government really functioned, including various army groups, more or less under one head. And they were organizing at the time, getting weaponry, because they knew that a war was going to come sometime or other. And the United States was one of the countries where they were able to get better class weapons from. This was right after the World War, so there were weapons around that they could get from Europe, but they were trying to get from the United States at the same time. At any rate, we were working there trying to clear up the place, and there were hornets' nests that had to be cleaned. And I earned a little bit of a reputation because Clarence, as a kid, when we were kids together, taught me that if there are wasps, hornets, or bees, all you have to do is put your hand out and stand still, and they will land and walk around, and then they'll see that you're not in danger, and then when you see them flying away, you can put your hand down and go about your business, but slowly. And it really worked. So that was an important discovery for me. And then we put together the camp, and at one point we had got a message from we had somebody from the movement that the FBI were going to come to our camp. Now, why was this? It seems there was an old barn. Of course, on the top of the barn there was an area for hay and straw for the cows, and you throw them down a chute. At any rate, they built a double floor there, and they put in machine guns, which were labeled afterwards sewing machines, to send to Israel. And we suddenly got word that they were going to come within the next 3 days to search and find. If they found it, then everything would be confiscated and the camp could no longer be used. So we were supposed to figure out something. At the time, in the camp there was a truck, an old truck that really couldn't really drive very much, but my friend Tzvi Siegel would be taking it apart and putting it together all the time. And we decided what we'd do is have a burial ceremony for Betsy. That's what he called her. And we got a ramp together and managed with a winch to get the truck up into the hayloft, and to stand it there with a lot of hay that we spread out over the false floor. And we just waited until we heard that the FBI were on their way, and we went upstairs. We had a little microphone, and Tzvi Siegel and Bobby Blumenfeld and myself stood up there. There's a picture somewhere, but we haven't been able to find it. And we read a eulogy for poor Betsy. And we sang, "Poor Betsy's Dead." At any rate, we noticed that strangers were walking around, and they were looking, but of course they couldn't move this great big truck, and they found nothing, and they left. And that was the way we were able to leave it. The next day, we took the truck down, and the guns were sent off, which we heard about. But it appears somebody traced the truck from the FBI, and it belonged to Sid Troy, and they gave him some problems because they realized that his truck was being used. I only heard about this a month ago, so I'm adding that little bit to the story.